series, The Immortal Way, where I talk about heroes, particularly in the offlane, and detailing how to play them. Now, my last two were on Axe and Legion Commander, and if you didn't get a chance to check those out, I'll leave a link down below to talk about them. But today, as you've just briefly saw, I'm going to be doing it on Sand King. Now, I'm not the best Sand King player, I'm not the best offlane player, but of the YouTube videos that I've seen out there right now, they're either super outdated or they're just some mute replay of some pro. So I thought I'd make a video on Sand King. He's a great hero at the moment, really been rising in value, particularly in my pubs and in the pro scene as well. So I thought I'd make a video all about him. So what we're going to do is sort of jump straight into the draft and aspects of Sand King, when you should pick him, when you shouldn't, who's good with him, who's good against him, etc, etc, and then a brief overview of his skills as well. If you want to jump straight into some gameplay footage, I'll leave a timestamp down below. But other than that, let's get to it. Jump into having a look at Sand King's abilities to start with. So his Burrow Strike, just a stun from range, and does damage as well, with quite a low cooldown actually. His Sandstorm is an AoE sort of channeled, well not channeled ability, but you have to stay within the Sandstorm radius for it to continue going on. It does like an AoE damage, as well as mischance and slow with a talent at higher levels. Caustic Finale is your great lane push ability. Whenever you get the last hit on a target, or whenever you hit, it kind of adds like a debuff or a poison to the target. When it dies, it will explode and do magic AoE damage around itself. And finally, Epicenter, channeled ability that does magic damage in pulses, as well as movement slow and attack slow. So, in terms of drafting all aspects related to Sand King, so I'll first talk about some synergies with Sand Kings, what heroes are good with him, and then I'll go on to what heroes are good against him, etc, etc. So, in terms of what heroes are good with Sand King, so in terms of, I want to talk about a little bit support synergies, the ones that work well with Sand King. I think there's sort of three good ones that I want to outline first off. The first one is Grimstroke. Now, Grimstroke is really, really good with Sand King for a few reasons. Firstly, he's a great laner in general, so he's always going to be able to work well with Sand King because you can kind of dominate lanes. But the reason why he's particularly good is just obviously the Ink Swirl plus Sand King stun duration. You have like a double stun combination, as well as his Phantom's Embrace. Now his Phantom's Embrace is really interesting because what that does is allow Sand King to kind of get off his ultimate, which is a channeled ability. Normally, if you're playing against, say, someone like a Wraith King or a Sven, if you blink in with the Sand King and you start trying to channel your ultimate, your Sand King stun won't last the same duration as the channeled ability time. So, you know, if you're playing against someone like Sven or Wraith King, they can turn around and just stun you, which will then stop the channeled ulti and still put it on cooldown and kind of you'll be screwed then. But with Phantom's Embrace, obviously it silences the target, so you know, if you do Sand King stun plus a Phantom's Embrace, you can easily get the channeled Epicenter off, which is a really nice combination when you get level 6 as Sand King, that you can almost guarantee a kill on almost any safe lane carry because of it. But because he has obviously a double double stun duration with the Ink Swirl as well, like you stun in and then the Ink Swirl will pop and stun as well, plus the Stroke of Fate, which allows you to kind of stick on top of the target as well, so that all your pulses from your Epicenter are really nice. And then just to put the cherry on top as well, the Soulbind works kind of really nicely with Sand King's just regular stun, that it kind of can proc twice. So if the target is Soulbind to another person and you stun both targets with your first Sand King stun, if they're soul binding, it will kind of double stun, so it will do like double damage to both targets, which is like a really nice combination, really nice synergy together. As for the second support I want to highlight, that is really nice, is Leshrac. Now Leshrac is as a support normally really does struggle when landing his Split Earth because it's quite like a skill shot ability to sort of land. But with Sand King sort of point stun and setup stun, it just isn't guaranteed auto like hit on the split earth, which does like a lot of damage considering it's only on a 9-second cooldown. So Leshrac, really nice hero because it can always set up your split earth stuns. Also, what Leshrac kind of offers, which Sand King definitely does lack, is a pushing ability. Now, if you have like a Leshrac position 4 with a Sand King, when you kind of crush that lane, you sometimes want to take the tier 1 tower, or perhaps even the tier 2 tower, but you don't have that pushing potential. But when you max out Diabolic Edict with your Leshrac sort of partner, you can destroy towers very easily. So even after you dominate a lane, you can go ahead and get an objective, which is just a really nice combination. And finally, Lina, similar to the whole Leshrac stun, Lina's Light Struck Array is quite hard to hit, but Sand King's sort of setup stun is just really easy to set up with, so you can guarantee like a double stun combination. And plus, you know, the amount of magic burst with Sand King and Lina is unreal, and you can kill like basically any carry. So really nice heroes, those three, to lane with Sand King and kind of dominate almost any safe lane duo that you come up against. So, in terms of what cores and what heroes that are good with Sand King outside of the support role, now Sand King is just one of those really interesting heroes where kind of almost any hero can work with Sand King, and like you're almost any core's best friend because you offer like a very quick point stun. Like normally, like whenever you play like a mid or a carry, you're always wanting someone just to have that extra bit of lockdown that allows you to kill them, and Sand King is that kind of that guy that allows you to have that you know, offer that extra bit of lockdown, which is so vital in team fights. But Sand King's sort of ability to push lanes unbelievably strong and unbelievably well is a great factor for a lot of like kind of late game carries that need the extra bit of time to get online. And when Sand King's kind of continually pushing out lanes and getting aggressive when he needs to be, it allows the carry to get a bit more greedy and play more defensive in the jungle. But any kind of carry that has the ability to do Roche or kind of push potential, because it's something that like once you've pushed out lanes so much as a Sand King, being able to kind of secure some kind of objective like a Roche or a tower allows the kind of the benefit of what Sand King's doing, particularly with his caustic finale. So heroes like with like Ursa, for example, is really good because Sand King can push out lanes, and then it allows Ursa to take Roche kind of uncontested. But also when he gets like a blink dagger, Sand King and Ursa can go around killing anyone because they both blink in. Sand King stuns, and Ursa does like the physical damage, which is enough to kill basically anyone. So Ursa is really quite good. But even heroes like Spectre that are quite slow paced, Sand King allows to kind of delay the game by continually pushing out waves, and is aggressive enough to allow some of his cores to be greedy as well. But there's no particular kind of good cores to play with Sand King. Like I said, like Sand King's one of those heroes incredibly versatile that really can work in any draft, and that's why we're sort of seeing him picked up quite a lot in the competitive scene and very early on as well, because he's so versatile, because he can be played as a support as well as a core. So really, like any core is really nice of him, but like I said, heroes that can kind of benefit from that space, like Ursa, Spectre, even others like Medusa, if they want to play like more of a slow tier game.
When you're playing against Sand King, you kind of want to do one of two things. One, you want to either push out the wave as fast as possible, so that you're not kind of getting a lot of harassment by his Sandstorm and his Caustic Finale and his stuns and stuff. So you want to push out the lane as quick as possible, then go into the jungle and only return to the lane to protect the tower if it's possible to do so. Or kind of get in like maybe a tri-lane and able to sort of shut him down and kill him whenever he shows his face. So because of that, any hero that really is forced to sort of stay in the lane and can't jungle at an early level, those are the heroes that Sand King particularly crushes in the laning stage anyway. So heroes like Spectre doesn't really lane particularly well. He's quite greedy, but can't go into the jungle either at an early level, and as a result, he's kind of forced to stay in the lane because he can't really go anywhere else because he farms so slowly. Heroes like Slark as well, a melee hero, is sort of forced into staying in the lane, but normally he's very strong against other melees. But because Sand King is just such a great harassment potential and has a kill threat on Slark, he does get shut down a little bit as well. But also some ranged heroes as well, because Sand King can cut the wave as well, that's what makes him kind of such a good offlaner as well. He has so many ways of laning. He can 1v1, he can cut the wave, he can 2v2 with a lot of kill potential as well. Ranged heroes that are sometimes forced to sort of CS under tower with a creep wave. Heroes like Weaver, quite squishy, susceptible to burst. But for the most part, really, there's a lot of heroes that Sand are good against. That it's almost easier to talk about the ones that they counter Sand because a large majority, honestly, of heroes do struggle to play against Sand they're normally forced into the jungle because he's such a strong laner nowadays that you can't do much about him unless you're going to really commit so many resources. So I'll go on to talking about counters to Sand because honestly there's a lot of heroes, particularly in the laning phase, that struggle to lane against Sand But just quickly as well, a lot of high or low HP based illusion heroes do struggle with him as well because of the amount of AoE burst he has. So heroes like Naga Siren, CK to an extent, but because he's got strength fury, he has a lot of HP to sort of withstand his burst. But PL as well. So these heroes, particularly if you get Ags, can be devastating because of the amount of caustic finales that you can kind of cause and amount of AoE damage.
Wary of when you play Sand King is roots, especially because of the fact that when you're rooted, now they changed the mechanic, you can't stun whilst you're rooted. You can sandstorm, but obviously if they have detection, you're going to be able to be seen as well. So here are things like, for example, so kind of almost any hero can pick this up, but Rod of Atos is quite a nice counter to Sand King because it stops him from stunning and sort of running away because of that. On the same kind of line of reasoning, Puck is one of those heroes as well because now the Dream Coil counts as a root mechanic. So again, Sand King can't stun during that, but also his Waning Rift obviously silences him. So again, that kind of, because Sand King is such an elusive hero, any ways to sort of silence him or stun him or root him makes for a kind of hard game for Sand King. So kind of Puck, I mean, although the hero is very, very weak in general, like the hero's got such a low win rate, but you do sometimes see, particularly in the competitive scene, where you'll see maybe like a first 2 pick on Sand King and Puck will be picked as a result, just to kind of have ways to deal with Sand King. Because if you're just allowing Sand King to kind of continually cut waves and sort of push out waves kind of continuously with no kind of catch potential, it can give Sand King such a free game. So having root mechanics and heroes like Puck can be ways to sort of lock him down and kill him. As for laning against him, I think Bristleback is actually a very good hero against Sand King. We're sort of seeing a lot more Bristleback now, particularly from the offlane as well as the carry position. But because Bristle is such a tanky hero, not only because he's a strength hero, but because of his Bristleback, he can kind of withstand a lot of the harassment that Sand King gives. But not only that, his quills can kind of attack and deal damage to Sand King even if he's in Sandstorm or even if he's still in Viz. So you can kind of force Sand King out. As one of the very relatively few heroes that can force Sand King out of the lane by himself. So I think Bristleback is a good shout, and also he does very well in the lane, and that's something that you want to make sure that Sand King doesn't have. If Sand King has a good lane, I think he can kind of dominate and really change the pace of the game. But if you shut him down early, then I think it changes his game and almost forces Sand King into being more of a support than an offlane core. And just having one hero to sort of shut Sand King down is nice, because otherwise you might be resorting to 3 heroes to shut him down, which can sometimes be a poor allocation of resources. Lifestealer, again, tanky hero, strength hero, but because of his lifesteal and his feast, he's able to kind of withstand Sand King's harassment in lane, and so he can't be whittled down very easily because he has feast and also the open wounds as well. But because of his magic immunity with rage, Sand King doesn't really have a lot of kill potential on Lifestealer. So if you buy enough lot of tangos, Lifestealer can kind of sit in lane, which Sand King kind of wants to force you out so he can get that tier 1 tower very early on. But yeah, so and also Lifestealer has invisibility detection, and then he can kind of kill Sand King by himself as well. So Sand King, I mean, Lifestealer is kind of a nice hero against Sand King. Also notable mention, just heroes like Zeus has a great win rate actually if you look on Dota buff against Sand King, just because of his kind of, he always has that detection on hand with Lightning Bolt, but also AoE globally with Thunder God's Wrath and Ags as well. So a little notable mention to Zeus, has got quite a nice win rate against Sand King as well. So yeah, that's just the main points really in terms of drafting with Sand King. So now what we'll do is go jump into a gameplay that I played today, like an Immortal bracket, and then I'll sort of talk about the game from there. So guys, this is the game I actually played earlier today. Was kind of a low Immortal game, and there was a couple of Smurfs on the other team. I think the Sven and the Ember particularly were both Smurfs. I don't know how high they were, but like probably 6-7k or something like that. So it was good to beat them, honestly. I've been playing against a lot of Smurfs recently, and it's just annoying, honestly. But anyway, so in terms of the lane, I was laning with a Dark Willow player, and it was Sand King versus Abaddon Sven. Now, to be fair, we should win this lane. We have like kill potential. Like Abaddon makes it a little bit more difficult because of his athletic shield can obviously purge off a lot of the spells that me and Willow have. But we should really be winning this lane, and we do. But the Sven played played well in terms of he knew exactly what he should be doing in this lane in terms of trying to push it out. But in terms of item builds quickly, Tango, Salve, and Stout Shield. Normally, you'd have like a Mango here, but because I had to buy my own Sentry Ward, I had to sort of play without a Mango. But the Mango definitely does help because of you'll be using a lot of mana from Sandstorm and Burrow Strike. Normally you want to get Sandstorm at level 1 really because it helps your lane, but in scenarios where like your mid comes and having a stun will secure a first blood and give it like will help his mid like considerably, you might as well just give it to him really. So I level stun. You kind of want Sandstorm because it just helps really in the lane. You want to come in Sandstorm from the very first wave and it just helps harass as well as do damage and stuff to the carry. But you know, when you're going to get a first blood, I think stun is definitely worth it. Yeah, so quickly going back to the item build. So Sentry Ward instead of Mango. Ideally, if you can get like the support to sort of buy a Sentry Ward and then you're allowed to buy a Mango, it will help because there was a few times here that the Mango would have definitely helped me just have a bit more sort of mana. But first things first, because I also sort of saved a bit of money from the Sentry Ward, I went ahead and straight bought a Quillen Blade. I missed a CS because of it, which is a bit of a shame, but maybe Willow could have probably took it. But at the moment she's sort of AFK in trees, which is really annoying. Normally you want your position 4 really to be trying to harass the carry or at least the support as much as possible. Right now she's kind of running back and forward doing very little really, which is a bit annoying. And in fact she actually dies here because I don't know what her positioning is and what she's doing. But she dies, which is a bit annoying, but there's not much I can do really. Maybe if I hit the 2-man stun, could have saved her, but level 1 Burrow Strike, not particularly good. Because I obviously spec Burrow Strike instead of Sandstorm, my lane presence is kind of weak. So at the moment, I've kind of just forced to you know do aggro tricks and try and get some CS really as best as I can, just to try and focus on getting level 2 and helping me get there really. But I mean, Sven has great base damage, 69 versus 50, so 19 damage more. So it's going to be a little bit tough before I can get level 2, level 3, and that's why I'm playing quite defensive. I have a big creep wave here. Luckily, Willow does get this range creep, which would have been sad if that was denied as well. But yeah, so it's going to be a slow start really because of what I spect, and also because Willow kind of gave first blood away. And we didn't get any ward pool. We didn't block any of the pool camps either. So until I get like level 3, I'm gonna sort of struggle, particularly because Sven has kind of higher stats and base stats to me, level 1. But I'm level 2 now. At least I've got my Sandstorm. I really don't want to give away kind of these creeps over here, but because Willow's sort of over here doing his own thing, I can't really do much about it. So I'm gonna have to be forced to give away a lot of CS, but because Abaddon gets very, very kind of ambitious, he does take quite a bit of damage as well. So, but we're doing okay though. 6 CS versus 8 and 4. That was a gimme. I gave that CS like very bad, but like I said, I'm not going to I don't play perfect in this game, and I won't play perfect. I'm only Immortal, but the thing is, like, I think when you're an Immortal player, you know what you're meant to be doing, but sometimes, like, you don't do what you're meant to be doing, kind of just because of mechanical errors and stuff. But mechanical errors are nowhere near as bad as kind of playing the wrong part of the map or speccing the wrong thing or going the wrong items, for example. So you can be forgiven, I think, for missing a CS here and there and kind of missing a stun here and there, etc., etc. But But I'm close to level 3 now, as long as that doesn't get denied, which it did. Again, my CS was pretty poor actually in this game. To be fair, it was the first game of the day, so you know, what can you do? But I've got boots now, still level 2, closing on level 3. Level 3 is really when you start being able to do a lot of work with Sandstorm, because not only does the damage like more than double, but the duration increases as well as the radius and the cooldown as well. So you're kind of able to Sandstorm every creep wave basically, because it's nearly at 30 seconds. So able to creep to Sandstorm nearly every creep wave. But this is where the mango would have really helped out, because obviously now I'm kind of close. I've got very little mana, and I will be going arcane boots just because you like to be a threat in this lane. You need to have mana, because you need to be able to sort of stun and have sandstorm and stuff. So you're going to be forced to need to go mana. So because of that, I'm going to be going phase boot, going arcane boots. But other boots can be useful as well if you have ways to kind of supplement your mana. But because Willow is needs mana as well, I thought arcane boots would be good. Plus, I use it to build into Lotus Orb as well. So a lot of useful things here. We just about get the kill on Abaddon there, because his miscoil was on cooldown. So anyway, this is where we're level 3 now. This is when we're starting to able really to put our kind of stamp on this lane. But Sven's still doing good though, getting a lot of CS really. But you'll start to see, particularly when I get level 4 and level 5, like this lane starts to sort of tip in our balance, because we just do so much damage to him and he can't sustain it. Has sort of 2 tangos now, but he's starting to sort of run out of regen. And with Willow with me as well, we're starting to really kind of pressure this lane quite a bit. So, but yeah, right now, just saving up for arcane boots. I've got them now. So again, I'm starting to put more pressure back on the map. Don't need to worry too much. Sort of, I see that Abaddon put that the sentry down, so I know it's here somewhere. So I don't want to play too aggressive, seeing as they can see me. So I'm going to put a sentry in the wards and then just sort of deward that. It's really important when you do have a sentry, or when you do try and deward their sentry, that you put it in trees. So whether it's like here, or whether it's on the side here, or in the trees here. The reason being is that you're going to see their sentry before they see yours, and if you are able to do that, then you can destroy theirs. Normally there's like an overlap of like maybe 0.5 seconds where you can kill his and then he might kill yours, but that doesn't matter really. As long as they don't have vision of you, it doesn't matter whether your sentry's up or not really. So it's all really about making sure they don't have vision of you. Sven just like really too tanky. I don't have any mana to really threaten too much, and I'm quite low as well, so we'll let him get back. But now you're sort of seeing like Abaddon's rotating a lot, because he knows he can't do too much. We've killed him, I think, is it twice or 3 times now. So he doesn't want to go sit in this lane because he's just going to feed. And because Abaddon's not there now, Sven's kind of forced out of the lane as well, because he doesn't want to be harassed too much. I mean, Willow's like playing a bit too aggressive really. I don't think she can kill the Sven, particularly not with Magic Stick, and Hydra rotates in and ends up just killing her. But at least she's harassing the Sven to some extent. I mean, I could have maybe been with her, but I wanted to sort of get some HP back, because I was quite low, so I went to the shrine. If I was with her, yeah, we probably would have killed Sven, but at the same time, if I wasn't there, or if I was there, Sven probably wouldn't have been farming there, because he knew I was off the lane as well. So those are the kind of things, like people being like, oh, why didn't you come with me? But Sven wouldn't be in this position if I was off the map as well, kind of thing. But because he knew I was here and running back to the shrine, he knew he could kind of man up against the Willow, and as he did. So I'm level 5 now, and I'm starting to make Veil. Now Veil, I think, if you can get it, I think it's so good, because obviously every aspect of your toolkit is magic damage, and you can do so much damage. I see Sven here, I just sort of stun in and sandstorm, and I do maybe 1/3 of each HP. So now he's really scared to really push up to the creep wave. That's what he's been doing. He's trying to be pushing out the lane and then going to the jungle. But I just want to threaten him as much as possible really. But I didn't really want to man up against him when he had ulti and stun, when obviously I was in creep wave. So I'll let him just run off. He's going to go back probably to the shrine, although shrine has been used. So yeah, he's kind of forced out of this lane right now. So I'm able to kind of push the lane. I don't have any points in Caustic Finale. It's something that I thought about, because I know that I want to kind of pressure this tower as much as possible, and I didn't really want to use Burrow Strike or Sandstorm on the creep wave, because I knew if I used either of these abilities on the creep wave, then Sven can either easily rotate back in and have more threat on the map. Because if these are on cooldown, I don't threaten him as much really. And as you see here, I use my Sandstorm. He knows that all I have really is stun, so I don't threaten him so much. Seeing as other people were off the map as well, I don't decide to sort of stun in here. So I sort of just allow him to take that creep wave. So of course the finale, like 1 point maybe could have been quite nice. Perhaps I could have got 1 point over 3 points in Burrow Strike. Seeing as I'm not using it too much for kill potential, but more for sort of threatening on the tower. But as you see here, I'm trying to kill these neutral creeps now, because I know what Sven's plan is. His plan is sort of to push this out as quick as possible with cleave and then rotate into the jungle. But at least if I take this sort of hard camp here, then he has nothing to farm. Look, he runs in here, realises it's not there, I've already farmed it. So that kind of reduces his farm and sort of pumps up my farm a little bit as well. So in that respect, it kind of helps me out. But yeah, as I said before, like, I don't really want to be using these abilities to sort of push out the creep wave, because then Sven has less pressure when he comes back to this lane. But at the same time, I want to kind of pressure this tower as quick as possible. So the caustic finale definitely would have helped. I think in hindsight, maybe at least 1 point would have been better than 3 points in Burrow Strike. But you know, and as a result, I am kind of forced to Burrow Strike. But it is coming back off cooldown. But he's going to show here. And at least this is back off cooldown. But you're going to see, like, I'm just going to go straight on him, just to kind of harass him down. Like, he's not able to sort of man up in this scenario. Like, he's salved like 2 or 3 times now, and if I have one rotation like this Willow or maybe the Lion or the Monkey King, we can kill him. And because of kind of every time he shows in the lane, I'm just kind of trying to threaten him as much as possible. Willow does come, but he's really not here in time, and he knows what's up, and I can't really threaten him. I'm not going to catch him, so I decide to sort of back off and just try and take this tower now. This is kind of my goal really this game, because I don't want to give Sven like an easy place to farm. So taking this tower will definitely help. But this is why I sort of mentioned a little bit about kind of Sven is. I mean, I did mention Sven is kind of a good hero against tanking, but he kind of counters tanking kind of conceptually, because he doesn't stay in lane very far. Like, he stays in lane, what, for me, like 7 or 8 seconds. But because he's maxed out great cleave, he pushes out the wave, goes jungle, and kind of continues his farm. And as a result, like you see, he's like top net worth for his team. I'm up there as well, but it's annoying seeing that we could have probably done a lot better if Sven was a different hero. But yeah, we take this. We take the tower, because obviously no one's turning it, and again, kind of similar to what are the other heroes I've showed in the video as well. Like, you don't really want to start rotating off to other lanes. Like, yeah, you can, but only if you can kind of guarantee something will happen if you go up there. Like right now, like if I TP up there, like they can easily just sort of walk away and run away. Yes, they do die here anyway, but I think a question you should ask yourself when you play, particularly in the offlane. I make a massive misplay here, by the way. You're more than welcome to laugh at me. For some reason, I get super greedy, try and cut away because I see other people around. I see Sank here, I see Sven here, I just try and stun up the hill and try and 2B out, but I get stunned and just die. Massive misplay, really. I don't know what I was thinking. That was really, really bad. I mean, I was like top net worth for my team, and I just absolutely feed here. Like, normally, the situations like that where you feel like this is a bad mistake, like bad play, like just listen to your gut instinct. Like, I was like half HP diving behind the tower, and people were starting to come off the map as well. So just sort of play it safe, and it normally works out better for yourself. But if you can be greedy, then you can obviously cut a wave and try and be greedy. But I mean, I had like 1 point in caustic finale. It was just, yeah, it was greedy, and I paid for it as a result. But what was I saying? I can't remember exactly what I was talking about now. I have no idea what I was talking about. Wait, let me pause it and I'll find out. 1 sec. I remember now. I also remember to put my webcam away from the minimap, which would have been probably a better idea, but oh well. Yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, like as an offlane, I don't feel tempted to kind of force and rotate to other lanes just because they might not be winning. In the end, I think top lane and mid were doing at least even, so, but even if your like safe lane or your mid lane is losing, don't feel the need just to instantly go ahead and kind of rotate, particularly not. Like, the question you should ask yourself is that if the enemy team just go ahead and run away and run back after they've realised that you've TP top, what can you do about it? If you can't do anything about it, then you're probably making a bad rotation, put simply. So I said to myself, look, I don't want to rotate or move away from this lane until I get Blink Dagger, because then at least that way, if the enemy team sees me that I've rotated in, and they start running back, at least I have Blink Dagger to kind of close the gap and make a rotation, and it'll be successful. However, obviously, if the enemy team are like diving your tier 1s and they're sort of going behind the tower, then yeah, sure, TP in, but don't feel the need to, oh, I need to gank. I'm just going to TP in and hope for the best. No, just sort of stay bot, continue your farm, put pressure on the map, and kind of restrict the enemy movement. As you saw there, just from my mini-map, Sven's top lane, and the reason why he's top is because he can't really stay bottom anymore. Like, he doesn't have a tier 1 tower. I'm going to pressure him quite a lot if it's just myself, but also he's in danger of getting rotated on by the Willow, by the Lion, by the Slar, like anyone, and +1 plus me will kill him every single time, and that's because I'm putting pressure on this side of the map. And so don't feel the need to kind of rotate away from this part of the map. This is the part of the map you want to be playing, really. It's only until perhaps your carry feels that he needs to take this side of the map because it's safer for him, then you can start to rotate out. But in the meantime, pressure this as much as you can. And now I've got my Blink Dagger. Look, now I start making the rotation. I stun in, Monkey King doesn't stun for some reason, and as a result, he just kind of blinks away. So that's a misplay from Monkey King, and I kind of make sure that he knows that was a misplay. So if he just stunned there, then Lion would get the Hex, but whatever. You can't really make you can't play like your allies' heroes, so you're just gonna have to make the plays and hope that they make the right play. So like, it's coming up to the runes now. I realise I'm kind of the stronger hero on the map right now. Like, I have Veil, I have like Blink Dagger, I can man up. I'm able to kind of go high ground with no vision, and as a result we get 2 kills because of it. So just kind of know your item timings and know like how strong you are in comparison to other people. Like, I have like kind of 2 items when most people at this time don't have any. Top net worth in the game. And now's the point really where I have Blink Dagger and I can kind of just be annoying to everyone on the map, really. So if I see anyone in the lane, I just go blink and stun with Sandstorm and kind of pressure them out of the lane. Can't do too much about Sven bottom lane because I don't have a TP, so mid was my best option, really. And I'm just going to sort of sit here because I know that if someone rotates in, we can kill this Wind Ranger very, very easily, and that's exactly what happens. Monkey King comes in, blink stun with Veil, and Wind Ranger can't do anything about it, simply, and she dies. And because of that, we score this tower. Pudge tries to TP in, but because I have so much kind of presence and so much damage, like the Radiant team know that they can't fight, and so when we kill one person, it can snowball into more. So right now, I have very little mana, really, and that's kind of a problem because without mana, you don't do much, really, as a hero. So I'm looking really to go Shrine if possible. Also, looking to get any more mana regen items that will help me continue putting pressure on the map. And that's why I'm making my way towards, Lotus Orb. Gives pretty good mana regen, and in this game as well. There's so many things to kind of counter, like Wind Ranger, stun, Sven stun, Pudge ulti. Excuse me. Whew. Had some chili out the other day, and I'm like feeling the after effects. But also you can kind of purge off Ember's chains as well. So Lotus really nice item this game. And as a result, it's just really good. And also, because you really do want to have mana boots on this hero, Lotus Orb has just got a great, what's the word I'm thinking of? Just great follow-up, basically. And again, this Monkey King played really bad this whole game, really. We had Ember dead to rights there, but instead he goes and farms the jungle and then starts rotating back. But I mean, I die as a result of it, but we do kind of, well, we don't get anything really, but for some reason, Monkey King was just non-observant and didn't want to kill Ember. It's a bit annoying, really. I think Monkey King was an account buyer, really. At this bracket, where you're kind of between the Divine and Immortal bracket, there's so many boosters, as I said, the Sven and Ember. If you saw their profiles, they ranked from Divine 1 to Divine 7 in a matter of days, which normally indicates they bought accounts. And likewise, when you have account buyers, when you have account boosters, normally you have account buyers as well. And I think Monkey King wasn't the greatest. But I mean, he's playing alright though, but maybe he just wasn't observant. Anyway, I die there again. Which wouldn't matter if we get the kill at the Ember, like it wouldn't matter too much, but because I'm like top net worth and I die for no reason, bit of a shame. But going back to Lotus Orb, it's just a great item because it's kind of a great follow through and build on from Arcane Boots. You really want the Arcane Boots for the mana, and having Lotus Orb is just so nice, particularly in this game, because there's so much things to kind of counter with it. So right now, like obviously I can't really join this fight down top here, because you know what's TP2. So really, like, don't run past the creep wave just to kind of get to the fight. Like what you're seeing me do is kind of try and push out the creep wave and then kind of link up with my team. And as a result, that's what I do. If I just sort of run past the creep wave, then they have more map presence. But because I'm kind of killing everything on the map, then I'm going for. So right here, like, just jump straight in on anyone. There's like, we have all 5 heroes there, and like we're so strong now that we have great initiation that we shouldn't really be afraid of anything. And so, you know, just go for anything here. I see like Ember Spirit here, and I see Pudge here as well. So I start channeling ultimate here, but they have vision up here, which I didn't realise, and as a result, makes my ulti look terrible. But you don't know, obviously, that they have vision here, but we realise it now, and as a result, that does get countered and go forward from there. So right now, like, particularly because we have the initiation advantage, you want to get as aggressive as possible, put simply. Like, we're the only team that has Blink Dagger at the moment. Sven doesn't have Blink Dagger, obviously neither does Pudge or Wind Ranger, so we want to kind of be as aggressive as possible, because we have great burst potential and we have great catch. So any opportunity we see on the map, you just try and go for it as much as possible and allow this Slark to really farm. Monkey King kind of gets caught out, but I think he gets away here in the end, and like I'm tanky. Like with Veil, I have like decent armor and sort of catch, and I know that we can kind of force a fight wherever possible. So I'm not afraid of literally anything I have right now. So get another kill on the Wind Ranger, which is really nice for us because this Wind Ranger was the offlane, and he's sort of really having no impact this whole game. And you can kind of tell when Ember doesn't plays like that, you kind of know how scared they are of us. So we should play accordingly. Like if the enemy team are playing scared, then you should play aggressive and sort of see how much you can kind of really force on the map. So a little thing here, like I've got obviously the things I need to make Lotus Orb, but I'm waiting for my Arcane Boots to come off cooldown so I can use that and then break it into. There's nothing worse really than breaking an item into Lotus Orb before the use of the item. Basically just squeezes as much value out of the item as much as possible, basically, which can be useful. So again, really, like right now, whenever I see an opportunity for a team fight, I want to go ahead and take it. Our lanes are off in a fine position, really, and so I go ahead and sort of force any fight I can. We don't want to sort of force, like, you don't want to go too deep, obviously, because of the fact that obviously they still have, you know, we're only 1k ahead, but if we see an opportunity to go for a kill, like this Wind Ranger again, I feel bad for her. Like we've literally only been killing her, but Ember's kind of hard to catch really because he has obviously his remnants, but we do end up catching him. I think here he's out of that remnants and he gets caught by a root. That's right, we kill him as well. Yeah, so it's just really nice. Like whenever we see an opportunity for a kill and like again go for it straight away. As you saw before, our lanes were in okay positions. Like the lane was only here whilst I was making plays here. If the lane's like pushing into our tier 2, that's when maybe you need to start thinking about maybe pushing back and kind of protecting your towers. But because if lanes are okay, in an okay position, then you can start making plays and get aggressive. But make sure your lanes are always in good positions before you start really making aggressive plays. So I've got my Lotus Sword now as well, so like even more sort of survivability and tankability. I shouldn't be too scared of anything, because I know I can reflect a lot of their spells. And I'm making a Yule Scepter now, so I just want to be as sort of hard to kill and as elusive as possible, particularly with your Sandstorm. So like the whole idea of sanking in a team fight is you want to be particularly in team fight, sitting in that Sandstorm as long as possible, because that's a lot of your damage. Particularly with Veil of Discord, you do so much damage with your Sandstorm. I'll briefly go into talents in a sec, but the Yule Scepter allows me to kind of continue in that Sandstorm state. Obviously, I go 2.5 seconds invulnerable. I have Lotus Orb as well that allows me to kind of reflect spells and just be annoying. I just want to be in that Sandstorm as long as possible, causing chaos, and these kind of items allow me to do that. So I see Ember Spirit starting to try and split push and kind of push the wave, and I want to kind of cut the wave as much as possible. As you see here, I'm like trying to tell my team, like, push this wave out, don't let him push this wave, because the longer this kind of game goes on, the more farm the Sven gets, and that's when he can get scary and start maybe one shot in, two shot in our supports, and even the Slark. So I want to restrict their map movements, and that's, you know, a good way of doing that is just kind of pushing waves in. And Ember's doing the right thing, trying to cut waves and really try and give more space for the enemy team. Obviously, I want to really kind of pen the enemy team into this kind of small area, sort of shepherd them and reduce their map movements. So right now, again, like, top lane's been pushed out. I know I don't need to worry about that lane, but it's mid. Maybe I can see if I can catch the Ember Spirit, but I can't. So he gets out. So the problem is our draft, like, with the amount of map, we have so much map control right now, and although we only have a 3k net worth, we can't really do much with the map control we have, because Monkey King and Slark both don't really take towers, and they both don't really do Roshan. So all we can really do with our map pressure is try and force fights and try and force a team fight, because we can't really do really Roshan very easily. So that's why we're always looking for the fight. And this is where we get a bit aggressive here and sort of dive them on the tower. Like, in an ideal draft, you just want to be pushing up waves and going for the Roshan, or maybe, you know, pushing in top tower. But because of the draft, we're forced to make these kind of plays. But luckily, you know, we kind of get away with it. But we nearly get punished here. I nearly die. Sven does a lot of damage, but luckily I just get the stun off before I get rooted up there. And as a result, we're able to kind of get away. The BKB is kind of kited out by the Sven there, and we kind of get lucky really, because, you know, that kind of play is very, very risky and could be punished in another scenario. But yeah, and this is just kind of the annoying thing, because, you know, we're looking. I mean, I think Ember ends up dying here. I think no, he doesn't. He has the remnant. I couldn't get the blink dagger off. So it's kind of like a cat and mouse. Like, whenever we push a lane, the enemy team will just kind of push another wave and another lane elsewhere, and we can't really. We're just kind of trying around and chase them. And because we're not really forcing the enemy team to come to us, because we're not, you know, forcing hard objectives or important objectives like Roche or other towers, because we don't have the draft for it, we're forced into these kind of bad engagements. But in the end, it kind of works out. We get kind of lucky in the mid game. And what you do is, what you see I'm doing here is, again, trying to restrict their movements as much as possible. If I push out this wave, even though there's like literally 4 or 5 heroes from the enemy team right close to me, and I'm not really sort of close to anyone, I'm sort of sandstorming right on the edge, so if they dust me, I should be able to get a blink away, I should be able to get a burrow strike away without really too much threat. But I see, like, my team closing in on me. Slark should really rotate his way to me now, seeing as they, you know, I start seeing, but I get a nice Lotus Orb off here, get a stun as well. I'm creating a lot of space really, and this is where my team really should be coming and backing me up, but Slark ends up top, doesn't do too much. I do die here, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe I played a bit too aggressive. If I had the Yules, I would have been fine, but I had it earlier, but didn't really get the courier for it. But we do end up killing, I think, the Ember as a result, which is kind of an okay trade, but would have been better if we had the Slark with us as well. Force out a buyback from Ember, which is quite nice. And we kill the Abaddon as well. So not the worst trade, but now obviously you're starting to see the power of Sven. BKB up, 2 shots our supports very easily, and our Monkey King and Slark think they can 2v4 even with the buyback from Ember, and as a result they get punished and die. So, I mean, arguably that was kind of my bad, because I kind of forced my team into a bad engagement, but I think, like, when they commit so much to me, they start diving a lot. Like, normally, like, we wanted to take a fight as, you know, as badly as possible, but because they were sort of sitting behind their tier 2 tower, we couldn't really force an objective. But with my little play there, I kind of forced the enemy team into a more open setting and able to really, you know, go for a kill. But my team wasn't really ready, and as a result, we kind of get punished for it as well. So our net worth is only a 2k advantage. But again, like, I see, and this is where you'll see, like, how good Sand really is with a hero like Willow. I see them running away here. I land a two-man Burrow Strike here, and channeled up with FP because they can't cancel it, and so much damage. Really nice finger from Lion as well from the high ground, so really nice play from him, and we set up 2 kills, so at least kind of balancing the favour back to us. But you're seeing, like, because of the way they're playing right now, like, Sven is like quite far ahead actually of me or Slark actually in terms of net worth, and And that's what they're doing. They're just trying to delay the game as much as possible to the point where Sven can start like two-shotting our cores, because they don't really have much other play really. And that's why I'm trying to force objectives, particularly when like now where Ember doesn't have buyback, and we have the advantage not only in net worth but with the hero advantage as well. So trying to take tower, perhaps maybe force a tier 3, and as a result we play a bit more aggressive because of it. In terms of items, I've got my Yule Scepter now, so I'm even harder to kill, and I decided I start making towards Guardian Greaves because like, it's a great item. It makes me tankier with armor, obviously annoying Wind Ranger and Sven will make it harder for them to kill me, but also gives a bit of help to my team as well. Can purge off chains from Ember, and also gives them kind of a burst heal as well, which might be enough to save their life, particularly Slark. So start making towards Guardian Greaves. Other item that could be kind of good. I mean, Hex is obviously great item on Sanking because you have that extra follow-up. Particularly because you have Blink Dagger as well. It's like instant, you know, Blink Hex stun or Blink Stun Hex, and it's just a great follow-up. But I think like playing more defensive is always a great idea. Like if you can, like Barrow Strike has like 11-second cooldown, so if you're lucky enough, you can maybe get 2 or 3 Barrow Strikes off in a team fight if you are surviving and if you're tanky enough. So that's why I end up going for Guardian Greaves. So right now, again, like because of our draft, that's kind of what we're forced to do. I'm playing quite aggressive here because I have Lotus as well as Yules. I don't feel really as in danger as possible, and every gank I'm successfully able to bait out, and every gank I'm successfully allowed to survive from, it gives more space for my team. Like if they're committing 4-man gank or 4-man resources trying to sort of kill me in the top lane, then that allows my team to farm the rest of the map. So like these risky plays, yes they are risky, but if they play off, they are really, really good actually, and they really do work well. So it's kind of trying to force and really trying to get as much as you can out, and sort of seeing how far can I push my limits. And sometimes you don't know your limits until you try these things. Like you saw me mid, I died mid because I didn't have my Yule Scepter, but now I have my Yule Scepter, I realised actually I can play more aggressively and can make more space for my team. And like this is the kind of farm that no one will be getting. Like no one can really farm here except for me. I see Sven here, and I'm still not scared. I preemptively put Lotus Orb up, but he sort of stuns the creep, which is the right thing to do, but I know I'm not really in danger. But yeah, going back to the point, like no one can farm that side of the map. No one can farm because it's a very, very deep and greedy creep wave. So if I'm able to farm it, then that allows my team to farm parts of the map that I might have been farming if I was elsewhere. I accidentally used the Lion Finger. I was just trying to buy time for the Willow. Luckily we kill him anyway, but it could have been really bad if I disjointed Lion's Finger with my Yules. Happens. But yeah, so trying to farm creep waves that no one else could just kind of allows more farm for the rest of your team, and that's why we're sort of 7k net worth up, it's quite nice. Again, when we get a kill, we're always trying to force to find the next kill, because this is kind of the state of the game. And although it kind of looks like that we're so far ahead, it's really strange because like we haven't really lost one team fight this whole game, but if we did lose like one bad team fight, like the game would flip like completely, and that's when they would start having the advantage. So it's a lot closer game, even though it's not 8k advantage. And like, as long as you play well from the start, it kind of shows the idea of how you're supposed to be playing. Like if you play well in your lane, do the things you're supposed to do, you will have the advantage. And that's why I'm showing it from this sort of perspective. Like really, as a Sanking, you shouldn't be losing the lane, like if you're playing correctly. So you shouldn't really be in a position where you're playing from behind, really, as long as you're doing correctly. So we get the tier 3 tower now, and now we can start killing shrines. But again, because of the heroes we don't have too much to do, really, in terms of killing Roshan or killing structures either. So as for talents, pretty much I think every talent from Sanking is good. I think some are obviously better than others, particularly in some scenarios. So I'll briefly mention them here. Level 10. Health and movement speed difference. I think they're both good. I think in this game especially, you could argue both. Like health would just be nice to be a bit more tanky, but movement speed just helps you cut waves better and be a bit more annoying, and have a bit more. So it's really like health or movement speed. It's like one allows you to be more elusive and one allows you to be more tanky. But I was of the mindset that if I get caught with a stun, I'm probably gonna die. Regardless of whether I have that 200 HP. So this is where like my team actually dies. I sort of say to my team over voice chat, guys, I'm pushing out bot, don't fight, just sort of get back from top, and as a result they end up dying and costing my team. Arguably, perhaps I should have told my team to back off before I went bot. Instead I went bot and then told them, and as a result they wasn't able to respond in time and they get caught out. But the thing is, like, as I said to my team before, like in this scenario, we're like very far. I knew we had a high net worth. So if we end up trading, even though we're ahead, in some ways we're actually losing the trade-off, because we should be winning every trade-off because we're higher up. So if we trade our tier 2 tower bottom because there was a massive creep wave pushing in just for their tier 2, it's not really worth it. The better play would have been my team to back off from top, and then I can push out bot, and then I can join them, and then we can go for the push. Because really, what item did we get that allowed us to start pushing tier 2 towers? There was no, great item that allowed us. Well, now we can start pushing as 5. Like, it hasn't been that from the start of the game, and it won't be that game. Won't be that way really until Slark has like 6 slots that he can kind of hit towers quite easily. But I've got my Guardian Greaves now, so again I'm playing even more aggressive. Like, there's no one off the map, but I'm frontlining for my team. I mean, I'm the only hero that kind of can frontline, even though I'm not that tanky, as I've mentioned before about the talents. But sometimes you need to be in a position to give vision to your enemy, to your team, sort of make plays and stuff. So don't be afraid to position yourself in an aggressive manner. But yeah, going back to talents, that's why I went for movement speed this game, because I thought if I'm going to get hit by a stun, I'm going to die, even if I had the 200 health or not. So I thought if I had the 20 movement speed, then maybe I could dodge the potential gank coming. As for 15, attack speed slow is kind of good, but unfortunately you don't really get that many great epicenters off, really in kind of practicality. Yet you always get good sandstorms off, so the 15 talent really is always going to be sandstorm over epicenter attack slow. As for level 20, it's just kind of the aggression versus the defensive kind of talent really. Armor, particularly in this game, against Sven and Wind Ranger, I thought maybe 10 armor might be able to allow me to survive maybe 1 or 2 extra hits from Sven that I wouldn't have otherwise. Like, I think I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think 1 point of armor like increases your EHP by like 7%. So I mean, I think it's 4% actually. I'm not 100% sure about that. But regardless, like 1 point of armor increases your like overall kind of tankability by quite a bit really. And having 10 armor, it's like a pretty large percentage. So it's it's a very nice talent. The plus 4 epicenter pulses again is quite good, like each pulse doing 110 damage, that's like 440 damage extra. But because I said like you don't get a lot of good epicenter chances, it's better to kind of go for the talent that will always give you value, which is like stats basically. That's why for level 20. As for level 25, again both are good. 50 HP region is a lot. But then again, Sandstorm, Slow and Blind is fantastic as well, because of the fact that BKBs from Sven now are starting to work, like to go down and stuff, and the 50% Blind is massive, honestly, particularly when you're going against a hero like Sven, who doesn't really want to get MKB. So right here, like, I'm just see how I'm like playing really just around my Sandstorm and trying to bait out the BKBs. Like, you see, I'm not just going ahead and I'm like, my right click has nothing. I'm waiting for the BKBs from Ember and Sven to go down. But then I come in trying to do something in the team fight. But with Monkey King dead, like I try and get an epicenter off here, but he dodges my stun, it blinks away, and that's why obviously epicenter doesn't do too much. But we need to be careful now. Like, we're 3v5 and Slark needs to get out, and as a result we get out. We don't want to be in a bad team fight. So yeah, just kind of realizing like what you can achieve in a team fight is very, very important. Just waiting, sort of laying good burrow strikes, waiting for the BKBs to start ending, and sort of making sure your sandstorm is still paying off as much as possible. Making sure you get Veil as well. Like, it's not only your magic damage that you'll be increasing, but it's obviously heroes like Willow as well. It's quite slow on the gem pickup there, to be honest. Like, I try to put my ultimate orb on my backpack, but luckily we killed the Abad here. We pick up the gem anyway. But we need to get out because, you know, getting pretty low. We're sort of just kiting again, kiting some more, and able enough to sort of bait out the BKB from Ember. But Sven with a big cleave ends up killing Willow and Slark, and my line doesn't offer too much. And MK was just reviving back, so just to sort of chill out, seeing as Ember brought back for the 3rd time this game. So yeah, got a gem right now. Like, I think when you pick up a gem like this, like, you can have two or three ways. Like, obviously they picked up this gem to sort of deal with me, because obviously I've been quite annoying this game. I've been obviously just sort of sitting in Sandstorm, doing things like this, double stunning, just kind of being annoying. But I have Yules, I have Lotus Orb, like, and with gem they can see me in Sandstorm. But like, particularly in the later stages of the game now, like, I'm less of a kind of a DPS threat, but more of an annoying hero, allowing my teams to do the damage, like MK and Slark. So just trying to, like, be annoying, forcing spells to be used on me so I can disjoint with Yules and Lotus, and just trying to make sure, put in like an AoE kind of a zoning ability with Sandstorm down, and always trying to get Barrow Strike off. And obviously if I see the opportunity to Epicenter, then I'll go for it. But as you've seen this game, like, I've been the first one to go in every single time. Like, there hasn't been like a line blinking stun and then me channeling Epicenter and blinking in. Like, you'll very rarely see this, and that's why, like, you'll very rarely see an Epicenter plus Barrow Strike combination. If you see an opportunity, then go for it. But normally it's like you blink in first to land the good stun and land the good setup, and then go for the Epicenter when it's safe to do so, instead of going the other way around. Because, you know, as you saw, the one time I went for Epicenter and then blinked in, it was like completely countered. They just walked away from me. Making sure, like, teams are... Well, making sure that the team fight is sort of set up, and then going for the Epicenter is better. I got a nice Lotus up here, and end up sort of returning the Wind Ranger's stun against her, and as a result kind of creating a lot of space. Again, BKBs are popped, we just want to try and kite as much as possible. Glimmer Capes here, Lotus Orbs there, try to sort of TP out, but he gets kited, and playing Sven this game must be annoying, and that's when I go for the Epicenter. You know, like, it's no way is it going to get cancelled. Yes, it's only on one person, but Sven is really the biggest threat in this team fight. Highest net worth. Once Sven is dead, like, we're going to win the team fight. A nice 2-man Burrow Strike there as well. Always trying to land Burrow Strikes on more than just one person if possible. Again, leaving Ember to do his thing. He's got BKB, killing like the easy hero, and then setting up on the next target. Really, like, whenever you play a Sand King, just try and go, like, if someone on the enemy team pops BKB, just go for someone else. Like, there's nothing else you can really do. And we kill the Wind Ranger now, end up getting an ultra kill. We try and set up on the Ember Spirit, but he ends up getting away because we can't end up catching him in time. And he TP's away. So yeah, so and now I'm going for Hex again, like, going for the idea that I'm not trying to do damage. I'm not building like Dagons. I'm not building Kayas, for example, just do more damage with my Epicenters. I'm just trying to add extra control, because really, like, it's the Slark and the MK now that are going to be ones doing the damage, particularly down this BKBs on Ember and Sven. A nice little Lotus Orb there, but Willow Yules her, but in the end I think she still dies because of yeah, that finger right there. And like with Sven dead, like, you know, we're trying to force a buyback if possible, but he doesn't want to buy back, which is understandable. If he dies, it's winning the game. But look what we're doing, we're destroying his team basically. Like, this is where, like, if someone like doesn't have buyback, or you don't know if they have buyback, you know, you can get aggressive to try and either bait out that buyback or take, you know, lane of racks, take a team fight, get some more kills because of it. You know, don't just sit back and worry because whether they have buyback or not. Sometimes it's important to try and bait out those buybacks. So Sven's back now. We need to be a little bit worried now because obviously, like, Slark and especially Willow can get one shot. But really nice disjoint actually on the Willow, but she still dies to the cleave, and And now we just wait out the spend BKB. Now it's like 5 seconds, and as a result, Epicenter. Now we want to kill him because again he's died, but he does have buyback again, but he didn't use it before, but he uses it now, and that's when we kind of want to back off. Slark's kind of very low, but we see an opportunity and try and go through it if possible. Slark is very, very squishy. Nearly died at the end of dying, and that's like when you have Slark dead. We do kill Sven, which is nice. He's stopped his buyback, but without Slark and without Monkey King having any HP or like BKB, like just cut your losses and leave. You know, we got both racks. You don't need to be dying as well. And yeah, so I've got my money for Hex now, and like now the kind of game is getting to the point where it's like I don't think we are really going to be losing any team fights. We're not going to be losing any. We're not going to be losing this game really. Like, and whenever you see an opportunity, just try and push out waves as much as possible. And with that, you're going to get top net worth really. So yeah, that's basically the game really. Like everything from now on. Like the first time we get a chance to do Roshan is like when Slark actually has like a DD, and even then it takes ages, but luckily it's enough, and we go ahead and to sort of secure the game from there really. So yeah, that basically, guys, I'll end the video there because other than that, it's just kind of we take the racks, we end the game. It's not really much to talk about, but hope you enjoyed it, and now I'll sort of talk about a little bit some tips and tricks and some talents for Sanking. So just briefly talking about some talents and some different sort of key bindings and sort of tips and tricks. So just quickly talk about the talents. I mentioned them briefly in the game. So I think level 10, 200 health and movement speed, I think are both pretty good. If we just look at sort of the trends, health has quite a considerable larger amount of win rate. I think that might be just simply because of sometimes Sang can be played as a support as well, and obviously if you're playing as a support you don't have as much items as a core, and so that extra 200 HP can be the difference between whether you live or not. I think if you go core, I think both are good. Obviously, like if you're a core, then you can build up items that will make yourself a bit more tankier, and you won't really have the ability to itemize for movement speed, but you can definitely itemize for health. But like I said before, I think both are good. I think you should ask yourself whether, like, if you can withstand like a stun combination, will you survive? Whether you have the 200 health or not. If the answer is no, you won't, then maybe the movement speed might be better. But I said I think both are good. I think maybe just sort of get a feel for it. Could be also personal preference as well. As for level 15, I mentioned it as well. Sandstorm DPS isn't really. There's no debating it. You kind of have to go it. As you see, like 8.2% is just unbelievable in terms of how much better it is really than the Epicenter slow. Level 20, a bit closer really. I think both, again, are good. I think one's more of an aggressive playstyle, one's more armor, one's more defensive. Obviously, like 10 armor is a lot, to be fair, as well. And I think, as I mentioned before, like sometimes your Epicenter can be a little bit risky and can be a little bit unreliable, whereas armor is always good. So I think if you're playing against like a lot of physical presence heroes, armor is definitely the choice. As for 50 health regen or sandstorm blind, like it's interesting. Like I know health regen has a 11% higher win percentage chance, but the thing is that I don't think it's that much better than the sandstorm. Obviously, I think it is good. And I think sometimes it is better. Because 50 health regen is so much, honestly, it's unbelievable. It's like, you know, nearly heart of Taras kind of region levels, but Sandstorm, like you use it so much, your Sandstorm, like every single team fight, and you're always in the thick of it, and you're always sort of forcing fights to be inside the Sandstorm. So that 50% slow, that 50% blind, like people won't be able to fight into that. And I think because of that, it's so good. Not only that, but like things that health regen is good for, like you don't take an advantage of it being level 25. Like health regen is great, like so you're not having to go back to base, able to help you farm better because you know you're not ferrying out salves, you can sort of tank more creeps, for example. But at level 25, you know you're not jungling, you're not going back to base really, other than when you're dying. So because of that, like it kind of takes a little bit of value out of the health regen for that reason. But again, I think both are good, and I guess in some ways, again, the talent is like aggressive or defensive. Health regen being defensive, and Sandstorm being more aggressive. But you know, the blind is still quite defensive as well. But again, kind of play around with it. I think I said both are fantastic. I think both are good, but I think particularly in games where a carry hero either has a very low BKB charge or doesn't get BKB at all, so say for example like Naga, I think the Sandstorm Blind is just so much better because obviously 50% of their attacks missing, particularly on illusion heroes that that won't build BKB, it can be a huge thing. So I think Sandstorm could be better in those scenarios, but if you're sort of debating what to go for, I mean Health Regen is always a good choice regardless. So on to some tips and tricks and some key bindings. As with all heroes and all the videos I've sort of shown you and done, I always have quick cast on everything, particularly for initiation heroes. I think they're like so important. That split second that you save, not having an extra click, can be the difference between you landing the stun and you not. So I like quick cast on everything. So let's talk a little bit about some sort of tips and tricks. So these ones you might have heard of before, you already know, but as I mentioned before, like you don't really get a chance to really do a lot of epicenter burrow strike combinations, but to make sure that you kind of do them correctly, you want to make sure you like channel epicenter and then shift Q your blink into the stun. That way you're not gonna be like interrupting it, because what can happen, like you might blink before and as a result kind of cancel out the channel. But if you shift Q, then immediately once your channel is done, you will blink and then you can stun. So shift Q, come in and then stun after that, and you'll get an epicenter off pretty nicely. Other things to mention as well. So you saw me go for Veil, and I think Veil is a great item on Sanking because everything of your toolkit is magic damage, but be careful when you are, say, pushing out creep waves, that you don't use it on creep waves. The reason being is because when you have like a regular creep wave, if you use your Veil of Discord, it will instantly kill the range creep, which will then not proc your Caustic Finale, and as a result it makes the creep wave die slower. Whereas if you just go straight in and don't use Veil of Discord, what you do, you'll hit the melee creep once, then you'll hit the range creep, and then it will die and everything will die instantly, which is a lot faster than hitting it 2 or 3 times, because your Caustic Finale won't go off on your range creep. As you see here, I hit the melee creep once, hit the range creep once, and everything just dies, which is a lot faster than as what I showed before. So make sure you don't use Veil Discord on creep waves. You can kill creep waves very easily without it. Just make sure you get Caustic Finale on both the melee and the range creep as well. In terms of other things as well, what's quite useful, I know it's not the best example, but say for example you are wanting to sort of push this tower or even defend this tower, and you want to, that wasn't the kind of tree I wanted to push down, but you want to kind of put pressure on the map. So what you can do here is you can kind of sit in the trees and sandstorm, and what this does, it kind of still puts like an AoE effect obviously on the tower you're pushing or defending, but if they dust, you'll be hidden in the trees, so they won't have regular vision of you. Whereas if you sort of just showed yourself and went here, then you'd be able to get seen by creeps, be seen by towers, example. So try and either sort of stay just in the trees, so outside of regular vision if they have detection, or when you're using your sandstorm, stay like right on the edge. So if they do dust you, instead of you being here like right next to the enemy team, that if they dust you, either the dust won't hit or you'll be far enough away just to blink out and be safe. So try and work around your sandstorm well for that as well. As for like burrow strikes, it can be a little bit difficult, but if you can, like, try and land as many people with your burrow strike as possible. Instead of just like say, oh, I want to stun this guy, don't just go ahead and just stun him like that. Try and look for lines, like parallel lines. That way you can, land 2 stuns, and just more effective and more value when you can. In terms of items that are quite good on Sand like as the items you saw before, like Lotus is quite good, Yules, anything that allows you to sort of stay in the sandstorm longer because of your survivability. But I know a lot of pros sometimes go Crimson Guard as well, helps them kind of cement their self in the lane, harder to kill, again more survivability. Hex obviously good in late game scenario because of that kind of lot of lockdown potential that you have. And if you do have Hex, try and stun first and then Hex, because obviously after your Hex is done, you only have like a 5-second cooldown for your next stun, so then you can stun again. Whereas obviously the cooldown from Hex is a lot longer, so then, you know, just something small, but that can help with extra lockdown. Radiance is kind of was a build that a lot of Sankings were going because it kind of there's just so much AoE damage with Veil, with Sandstorm and Radiance. Like you do so much damage, it's actually absurd. But I think it's a bit greedy, really. But like, as you can see, look how much damage. I mean, it's only a level 2 axe, but it dies just from me being in Sandstorm, and that's without the Sandstorm DPS talent as well. So it does, you know, a lot of damage, put simply. What else is quite good? Shiva's is nice. Again, more armor. Again, ways to kind of do more AoE. But Aeon, this is good as well. Like if you're worried about getting bursted down. But there's a lot of really good items on Sand King. But the ones that I really do like though is ones that either give you more mobility, so things like Force Staff, obviously Blink, or more mobility, like Yules or Lotus. But that's the end of the game, guys. Oh, that's the end of the video. Excuse me. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video, guys. I'll leave a little Easter egg at the end. Hope you enjoy. Peace. So guys, that's the end of the video, but I thought I'd leave you with something cool to see. This is from Epicenter, Major, Liquid versus VP, and you'll see the interaction with Grimstroke and Sand King, and I'll leave you in the capable hands of OD Pixel.
Potential attempt on Roshan that Liquid may go for. Yeah. Get a tier 1 tower. Mind control. Actually looks for the jump in. Inkfrost's going out to Ramsey. The top of the shackles. Mojo. Runs up with the DA. It's the Sunder. Ramsey's back up the full. They'll now turn towards We Are. Great serpent blocking from Roger. Trapping We Are in place. He will be able to cut his way out. Goes for the mount for VP. They're chasing down for the metamorphosis. It's come to an end. For the remainder of that BKB, We Are continues to run back. No one jumps in, but he doesn't have the damage to kill We Are. Away with the side of missing out. He's trying, but he cannot. They're trying to support to Liquid, but not Liquid. They're ready to turn. Mind control does get nuked down. Solo offers the purification on Roger. The Spiregraves are chasing him though. They'll lose a third on VP. 3 for 3.
Right, that's it, guys. See you later. Please subscribe. Peace.
And we